Well, howdy folks, Elcorex here, and welcome to Mercenary Thoughts from the Inner Sphere, episode 137. Today we're going to be talking about a new mech. Yes, it's a new mech. It hasn't even seen the field yet. It's showed itself up in the 3050 book. It's the Axman. Yes, the Axman. 65-ton mech. Comes in around 1,300, almost 1,400 battle value. And has some good capabilities and some drawbacks. And we're going to be talking about it. I have a few of these I've ran around before in the game. I like to take these with axemen and hatchetmen, put them together and turn them into a hopper chopper type of lance. Yeah. As you know, you can see in the picture, it has an axe. I like to call this thing Gimli. With my axe, I'll chop them to pieces. Alright, I'm moving on. Alright, the Axman comes in at a 464 65-ton mech, so it has the jump jets. It's highly capable to get in behind somebody, lay in some fire behind them, and then give them a nice hatchet chop. And hopefully slice and dice and make Ginsu fries. It has 10 double heat sinks. Alright, that's great, wonderful. But we have one problem. It has XL engines. It's a 65-ton mech that's a 464 with XL engines. It is kind of a purposely designed that way to give it as much firepower as possible, to really do a number on somebody as it's closing in, maybe. Now, it carries 179 points of armor, which is ferrofibrous with case. So that's 10 tons. So it's been upgraded a wee bit with some ferrofibers. Not bad. Not great. Could be better. And I think, 211 is the most that you can have on this thing. So it is slightly about 2 tons short of maxing it out. So a ton and a half, roughly. Extra of... if you had a ton and a half extra, you could turn this thing into even more armored. And with XL engines, I tend to like to have a little bit more armor to survive with. Now, the wonderful thing, the equipment. This thing carries an AC-20 in the right and center torso. Yes, with 2 tons of ammo. Not so great. And it has case in the left torso. Where the ammo is stored, we have 3 medium lasers in the right arm. Okay. We have a large pulse laser in the left arm. Okay. Which isn't so bad, except for the range. Kind of sucks. Then we have the infamous hatchet in the right arm. And then we have jump jets in the right and left legs. Alright. The Axman. I like taking these things. This one just screams since the get-go, I'm a city fighter. You get this thing out in the open into an open terrain type of battle where it doesn't have a lot of cover and concealment. It gets focused down pretty quickly before it can even fire because, the longest range weapon you have on this thing is 10. So there's the main drawback of it. It doesn't have any ranged weapons. It's basically a knife fighter, 100%. And if you know that and you see one coming at you, it's like, okay, I'm just going to blast it off, probably take a torso out, and then it's done because it has XL engines. So if you're a pilot in one of these things, you have to try to mitigate that problem by looking at all the terrain features you have and keep behind them, get inside them, etc. As you're closing in on your enemy, if you're not in a city fight, you got to look for where all the heavy woods are, the hills, etc., to stay hidden as much as possible so you can deliver your weapon system, which is basically your AC-20 and your large pulse, and then you get the backup, roughly your 3 medium lasers. So when you're looking at that, with those 2 main weapon systems, the large pulse and the autocan. So you're looking at 17 heat right there. You get 10 doubles, so you can dissipate 20. So you can jump this thing behind somebody and fire the autocannon and the large pulse and only go up 1 on the heat scale. That's not bad. odds of you hitting with the autocannon are greatly decreased because you jump plus their modifiers. So you better have a good pilot in this thing or something to help take care of that problem. Otherwise, you're looking at firing the 3 medium lasers. So the odds are, if I'm jumping, I'm going to be firing the large pulse, because that's at least a -2. So you have a better chance of hitting with the large pulse. Autocan, not so great. But other than that, now if you get this thing in a city fight, you're looking at something that can go over buildings, down blocks, jump out of an alleyway, get into somebody's face. As I say, you can run out into somebody or step out from a hidden position if you're playing that where it's set up is hidden inside a building or something, and then just step out and go bam, hit them with all the weapon systems, and then in the physical phase hit them with the axe and hopefully do some good damage to them. Because let me tell you that a axe attack, that's gonna do some good stuff. Who doesn't like a basically a 13-point chop? Now, if you put triple strength my armor on this, wow, imagine that. If you had triple strength on it, if you had the space, and heated this thing up, ooh, you're really going to be doing a number on somebody. If you hit them in the head, well, even 13 points damage to the head is going to do wonders. But if you don't hit the head, you're going to be chopping up body parts really good if you heated up an Axman. So that's pretty much your capabilities you have with this thing. And in one way, when I look at the weapon systems you have on this thing, the 3 medium lasers sort of suddenly become redundancy. It's kind of like the backup as you're closing, because you got the axe, and if you get in close, you got the axe in your right arm. So odds are, when you do the physical attack, you're not going to be able to use the 3 medium lasers. So it's kind of like a backup. So as you're close, I'm not in melee range yet, maybe I can hit him with the 3 medium lasers instead of the large pulse, depending on your fire solution. If the odds are, say if I need 4s or 5s, I might go with the 3 medium lasers or the pulse laser. Just the fact that I have a potential of doing 15 damage versus 10 in one spot. It's give or take type of thing. What do you prefer? Now, if you almost got an auto hit with the large pulse, yeah, you're probably going to go that route. So there you go. Now, there are some variants with this thing. We have the 2N, which is made famous by Adam Steiner. He first emerged using this in the late 30-40s. He replaced the AC-20 with a pair of LRM-15s and turned it into a fire support. That's not bad. Basically, you look at it, if you're not going to use the AC-20s, so you could sit there and, if you're in a city fight, do indirect fire with it and lay down some covering fire. Now, if you're closing with this thing in more of an open terrain scenario, you can hit individuals with the LRMs at least and do some damage as you're closing in. And then when you get close, obviously you're going to switch over to your medium lasers, and then when you're in their face, obviously you're going to be just stuck with the pulse and the X. So yeah, there you go. That's kind of an interesting one. Then we got the 3S, which uses the light engine, improves survivability, swaps out the AC-20 for an LBX version with 4 tons of ammo. Okay, that's an interesting thought process there. It also drops the large pulse laser in favor of ECM while upgrading the medium lasers to extended range. So you got ER meds. Okay. So that isn't so bad of a version. So it's kind of nice to have a shotgun, basically. So you have a little bit better chance of hitting. So if you're using the shotgun mode, so it'd probably go 50-50 when it comes to the ammo selection, solid and shotgun. So if you got a target that is got a lot of armor that's ripped off of it, oh yeah, I'm hitting you with the cluster round, because I'm going to go crit hunting, and there's nothing like a whole bunch of single shot hits that can do lots of damage and maybe hit some ammo and really cause some major damage for somebody. So that's kind of a variant there. Then we get later in the 3070s, which is way down the line. We got one that mounts to light AC5s instead of the AC20, and lacks the jump capability, but okay. I haven't really, that just doesn't really trip the trigger too much. Now let's just see, what can you do now when we're talking about some variants here. I'm in favor of, all right, you got a nice mech already, let's just take the stock version here and drop the AC20 down to an LBX-10. All right, and to me that just screams, all right, I got something that can shoot out to 18 at least. I have a choice of 2 tons of ammo with this thing, so I can have 1 ton of solid, 1 cluster, and you still got the case on it with ferrofibers, but then you can throw some more weight into the armor, and you can max out to the armor selection and upgrade your to 1 more medium laser. And I usually just toss that into like the head or something like that. And one other thing I would do, and since you're moving space out of the center torso for the AC-20, now you got weapon pod space open. I would move my medium lasers down to the from the arm into the center torso. So you got 2 medium lasers there, and then you got an extra ton. You can throw 1 into the head. So now you got 4 medium lasers, and I'm being more inclined actually to move a 3rd one from that arm, because it's got the axe. Why put weapon systems in the arm like that? I'd rather keep it so I have a possibility of using them, and I'd move it into the torso. So now where there used to be the autocannon space being taken up with the 20, so now you got a medium laser in the right torso, center torso, you got a couple medium lasers, and then 1 in the head. So, or you could just throw them all into the right torso and center torso if you don't feel like putting in the head either. But now you'd have a large pulse laser in the left arm, and you got, let's say, 2 medium lasers in the right torso, 2 in the center torso, and then you got an LBX-10. And the whole purpose of that is now you have capability. You still got the 10 double heat sinks, but you're inclined a little bit better to use more of those medium lasers and the autocannon. All right. So now as you're closing, you got an autocannon that shoots out to 18. At least you got something that has a little bit of range, and you're at least doing 10-point block shots. Okay. That's at least a decent thing you can do. Now, if you get into close behind somebody, just say you jump behind him, and you jumped, all right, so you get the -3. But if you fire a cluster shot at him, at least you have a -1 with that, and the large pulse together, you're doing, that's 12. If you jumped at 16 heat, you still got 4 left over, so you could throw a couple medium lasers in there, all right, and you're going to go up a little bit on the heat scale, 2, and you can do that 2 turns before you have to worry about the heat problem. But at least if you're jumping behind somebody, you have a good potential. Let's just put it this way: you hit them with the large pulse, you hit them with the medium lasers, and then, all right, if there's any open spot in the torso back there, all right, canister, type of thing. Or if you're planning on use canister anyway, just hoping that you do open up a can of whoop ass on them. And if there's some open spots, and then crit them to death, like engine hit type of thing. Now, another possibility, which I have done in the past, is totally get rid of the XL engine. And you go, what? Yes, get rid of the XL engine. And I'll tell you what. You can get rid of the XL engine, so it's still a 464 jumper, and you got rid. The thing is, you got to get rid of the autocannon. There's no ways around it, because all that space that you had with the XL engine has to go someplace. So you got to drop the autocannon and replace it with a PPC. So throw an ER PPC on there, and then you have basically some space, almost maxed out. You got 206 armor, ferrofiber still, 13 heat sinks. This is kind of the build I've used in the past. And then you have 7 medium lasers with ECM. So you basically kind of almost turn this into a swayback. So a 65-ton swayback. That's basically what it ends up being. But it has a PPC on board with ECM. So you have 7 medium lasers. So if you do jump behind somebody where you hit them in the back, you can fire the 7 medium lasers. That's 21. You jump 25, 13 heat sink, so you can dissipate 26. So you're not going to heat up. So this becomes a pretty nasty little mech. You know, it's kind of like a Solaris style, and you still got the axe on board. So you could hit him with all those medium lasers, rip the armor off, then hit him with the axe. So if you miss the head, you know, you could still ram that axe into a torso someplace and possibly take out a right or left torso. And then, or if you crunch it right down into the middle center torso, you could even kill it if you don't hit the head, type of deal. So that is a pretty decent one, and you don't have to worry about the XL engines. You don't have to worry about those torsos. So that's why you can go a little bit less. It's only 5 points less, but it ends up becoming more of a good fighter. And I found that this design lasts a heck of a lot longer because you don't have those XL engines. And that's the problem when you throw an XL engine on a slower mech. Like a 464, to me, is too slow for an XL engine. Especially if you're facing the clans. I just like, oh, geez, you ran. Oh, you got a 2 modifier. Oh, you jumped 4. Oh, you got a 2 modifier. Whip-de-doo. That's typically when you look at it when it comes to clans. A 2 modifier is really not enough to even... a lot of times they're looking at 3 pilots for their gunnery. Some are 2, some are 1s. Yeah, they overcome that pretty quickly. So the only modifiers typically is the range. And if they're using like a large pulse, a clan large pulse, or medium pulse lasers, oh, they're tearing you to pieces. And typically, if I'm playing as a clan, it's like, oh, that mech has XL engines, just focus it down, kill it, done. Before it even does hardly any damage to us. So there's that right there. So if you build a mech that doesn't have it, which is this one, now you could change how you want to do it. You know, let's say you got want a large pulse on this thing. Yeah, you could do that too. Or a large laser, even put more medium lasers on this thing. Turn it into really a up close and personal. Or throw a Beagle probe on it or whatever you want to do. So it's one of those things where drop the XLs and just put a regular engine on it, but it comes at the cost of a big, giant, heavy autocannon, which can be replaced with a ER large or an ER PPC. And you're going to do close to the same amount of damage if it's a 10 autocannon AC-10, but if it's an AC-20, obviously that thing takes up a lot of space and tonnage. And it's basically a knife fighter. So you can turn your mech into a knife fighter, but still give it some range and last longer. So that's kind of like how I use the Axman. Now, there have been many games where I've used the Axman in Solaris type games or city fights. If you get into a city fight, ooh, where you can jump in behind guys, tear them up, hit them with that axe. and then move on. There's been many times I decapitated many mechs. Like, it was taking out Atlases, Awesomes, you know, archers, catapults, you name it, over the years, where they're just sitting there firing sport, and they're like, oh, you're coming, I'm trying to move out of the way, and then they just get into you, and it's like, ka-chunk. Yep, sorry, done dinner. There's one to the head. So, there you go. That's the Axman. Like it or not, I like the Axman. There's some modifiers I like to change on it. First, just drop it down, and if you want to keep the one with the autocannon, drop it to an AC LBX 10 instead of an LBX 20 or an AC 20. Give it a little bit better weapon. All right, that's pretty much it. And hope like and subscribe, share with all your friends, and we will talk with you later. Hellcracks out.